Hey, what is going on everybody, and welcome to Fantasia. For today, we're going to be jumping into another session of Epic 7. Now today, got another balance patch for you guys. You're probably like, wait, Azza, hang on. Didn't you already cover the balance patch notes, the previous video, like last week? And you're right, I did. It was actually just a few days ago, it wasn't even a whole week that has gone by, but we have some new developer notes here that have tweaked a couple of things. Actually, both are pretty notable. The first thing that we have is actually a change to Judge Kise. Ignore the fact that Pirate Captain Flan is completely crossed out of this list now. We'll get to that later. Judge Kise actually got a minor tweak, which is her imprint concentration is going from effectiveness to crit chance. It's huge. That is going to make her a really nice DPS unit. Getting a crit chance imprint is the best thing ever for any DPS out there, because it decreases the gear requirements by a ton, right? Crit chance with your full imprint here, 16, we'll call it 16%, right? If you have 16%, that is 4 mid-rolls. Or even, it's like 5, there's like 3 and some change max rolls, right? It's really good. This is probably going to be one of the biggest things for Judge Kise moving forward. It allows her to build even more damage, which is nice to see. Now, I did mention just now that Judge Kise, we just talked about. Pirate Captain Flan is crossed off the list. Now, this is something that's honestly, like, I wasn't planning on making a video on this. When I got home, I saw a message from my friend was like, hey dude, you might want to check out the Pirate Captain Flan thing. And I was like, what thing? And he was like, hey, she got deleted from the balance patch. And look at that. She's gone from the balance patch notes. I don't know the outright reason for this, right? All I do know is that there were many people who were upset that Pirate Captain Flan was getting a change of any sort. And the reason I ended up making this video is because this news has actually been probably the most upsetting news to me and probably in my entire time playing Epic 7, honestly, right? Pirate Captain Flan not only is just very much a favorite character of mine, but just to see Smilegate, like, take, and not even, like, good, like, how do I put it? It's not even good feedback, right? It's not even being critical in any way, in like in a positive way, right? It's not like, hey, we don't think this Pirate Captain Flan buff's gonna go well because this is this. People are just angry that they're changing things without even looking at what the changes were. And Pirate Captain Flan's changes were going to be amazing, right? I know, like, losing this extra turn soul burn has got everyone's panties in a bundle, but the problem here, the thing here is that Pirate Captain Flan basically got a straight upgrade to everything else in her kit, right? The ability to steal 1 buff turned into an entire effect, a pillage effect for the entire team, which allows you to steal 1 buff after hitting the target, right? For the entire team. So she basically gives your entire team a buff that allows you to strip 1 buff from your opponent every turn, not even including the fact that you take that buff, right? So if you take that, like, if you strip the immunity, you're taking it for your team. So not only are you taking away the immunity buff from your opponent so that Pirate Captain Flan can work her magic, your whole team now gets that immunity buff, right? Your whole team can get the anti-crit buff from Navy Captain Landy. Your whole team can pick up defense buffs, right, from your opponent, attack buffs. It's amazing. And, you know, the fact that the Steal 1 buff was upgraded to something this big, right? It's kind of like DDR's buff in comparison. It is amazing, but people didn't like that for some reason. A lot of people are also hung over about the effectiveness increase by 50% getting taken away from her, but they didn't seem to realize that she gives a whole team-wide effectiveness buff. See, she would activate Time to Pillage, and not only does it grant pillage, but it increases effectiveness to everyone for 2 turns, and we know how effective that buff is. That buff is so strong that it made DDR turn his entire team, right, with Pestilence, into basically just injury detonation machines, right, left and right. It's like Roy Mustang snapping his fingers and just eliminating homunculi left and right, okay? So Time to Pillage was a great effect. It covered both the buff stealing and her passive effectiveness increase. Now, people's concerns were, hey, This means that my Pirate Captain Flan will lose that effectiveness at the start of the battle. She needs this buff. The buff can be stripped. You can get buff blocked. Okay, cool. Now, the thing with getting this effectiveness taken away, right, it doesn't really impact how she opens the match. A lot of people are saying how you open the match and you can soul burn Pirate Captain Flan and basically stun 2 people for free. And that really, if you've ever used Pirate Captain Flan in like a serious upper level, like I'm talking upper champion, not even like lower champion matches, upper champion, you're talking about Emperor Legend matches, or at least fighting against those players, right? I fight against Emperors. You guys have been watching the channel for a while. Pretty much every other match when I'm up there in high champion. I never get to champion, I never get to Emperor myself, but I'm always up against Emperor players. So when you're up in those matches, no one does that. No one's opening with a Pirate Captain Flan and stunning 2 units. You know why? Because cleansers exist. And if your opponent doesn't have a cleanser, you already won with Pirate Captain Flan. You didn't need to open with a soul burn. But with Azallea running around, right, everywhere with Sweet Miracle, able to cleanse herself, even with things like, when you pick Pirate Captain Flan, most people are slapping like an immunity user, like a hand guy or something really easy into their draft that provides them utility, but also a really nice counter into Pirate Captain Flan. Those units just completely like shut her down. It completely nullifies that first turn that she would have, right? And so I don't really understand the reason why they walked this update back. The other thing is, people are really upset about the fact that she loses this escort buff, right? She basically gives whoever in the front line is an escort buff, reduces the damage that she takes by 30%, so it's better than Aureus. The problem is, Pirate Captain Flan's almost never used in fast, aggressive teams. You pretty much never see her. The reason why is because now Wandering Prince Sid is technically just a straight up upgrade. It's better. He puts the bombs on and detonates them immediately. And Summertime Assyria, if you just want a super high effectiveness unit to just bomb everything in Oblivion, yeah, I mean, Summertime Assyria has more bomb power than the United States of America put together in one match. So the 30% redirect to the front line, right? It's yeah, not really gonna change all that much for her, because she's not used in fast teams. She's used in slower teams. And in those slower teams, you're probably running mitigation knights. Knights are very popular right now in the meta. Tywins everywhere. You see Albedo, right? You see a lot of units that have Aureus. You have Crimson Armins. You have even Bellions are built with Aureus nowadays for some players. Crimson Armins out there, you know, still wrecking havoc with the best mitigation in the game that we've ever seen. So Pirate Captain Flan doesn't really lose all that much. You don't lose 30% of the damage share. You basically lose 10% if you have an Aureus user already on your side, right? And in exchange for that, you would get a 70% critical hit resistance, which is huge. This is Navy Captain Landy, right? This is Navy Captain Landy's passive. You can't crit her, or you can almost not crit her, right? It's very strong. Now, this, with Aureus, is leagues and bounds better than just having the 30% redirect damage. The main thing that you will know if you actually play Pirate Captain Flan and use her in higher level play is that no one wants to fight Pirate Captain Flan. If you somehow get her through a draft, and she isn't banned, right? Then she is going to be focused down immediately, right? It's kind of like how people tunnel vision Albedos when an Albedo is there, or they tunnel vision Dragonbride Senya or Blood Moon Haste. Pirate Captain Flan is pretty much the same thing. You might as well slap a passive on her that says redirect provokes the entire enemy team, because that's exactly what she does. People try to focus her down because she is such a huge threat, and she typically does just die. She just explodes, right? Even something as simple as a Savior Aiden on the opponent's side pretty much shuts her down. But at least in this case, if there's a Savior Aiden on the other side, if you have anti-crit, you have a 55% chance to not get crit, which is pretty good. I say 55 because Aiden actually gains 15 crit, which takes away some of the 70s, so she'd have 55% because she's a light into a dark. But either way, right? That aside, Pirate Captain Flan, this really just hurts me. I'm dying inside. We couldn't even see the potential that she could have brought to the game. And it's so upsetting that Smallgate is listening to these like disgusting, super negative, not constructive stove comments and Reddit comments, and you know, not to bash people who use Stove or Reddit. I'm on Stove for news all the time. I browse Reddit all the time. But the people who are the vocal minority that are just ruining the experience, right? Ruining these opportunities for units to shine. This is, I don't know. I think this is like the first time I've seen this and was like, wow. Yeah, I can't believe they listen to these people. The last time this happened was with like auxiliary lots, and honestly, I don't really have an opinion on that. Auxiliary lots, he was kept the same. He's doing wonders in PvE. I think they tried to make him a PvP character. It probably would have worked too. Like, I reviewed that kit back then. It looked like it could have worked, just would have taken away from his PvE experience, and people didn't like that. But anyway, that aside, this is just making me sad. I can't believe this just happened. I was so looking forward to this. I was so excited for this and so hyped for this. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to talk about that real quick. I'm going to leave it at that. So, see you guys around. Take care.